All right. Well, hello and welcome to everybody who is getting joined in. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. We know it's a lot to pull yourself from the counter or the field if you're in the field right now to once again talk about auto parts. But this is a category that I think is going to give you some new talking points, some new conversations to have with not only technicians, but shop owners when it comes to door lock actuators and a bunch of different actuators that are actively being used on vehicles now. And, the technology's changed, so they're going to see progression in these components through the changes of that progression. And so they're going to need to know who has them. They're going to need to know that they're available, and we don't want them calling the dealer. So this is a great category to be talking about and promoting out in the field. So that's the conversation, door lock actuators. And we're going to briefly touch on how they work, why they fail, some of the more popular applications that you're definitely going to be getting phone calls about, what that quality looks like in that BWD box, the competitive landscape. I think you'll appreciate that. And then some sales tips and some sales support materials that's going to bring it all together and make these conversations a little bit easier for you to have when you're out there in the field. So, if we look at what does it do, how does it work? It's pretty simple. A door lock actuator is meant to lock and unlock the doors. Now, there's a lot more to it than that because these are heavily and highly integrated into control modules within the vehicle. So they're telling the car a lot of things that are going on as well, things like door ajar state, speed, those kind of things, so that they know when to lock the doors or not lock the doors, depending on if the vehicle's driving. So even though they're meant to technically just lock and unlock the doors, there's a lot of information being shared back and forth, especially in some of these newer versions. But again, that's the whole purpose. Lock, unlock the door. And that doesn't matter if it's a tailgate, a lift gate, a trunk, or a hood actuator. Release or close, open or close, or lock or unlock. That's the goal. But a big point to make here, and you'll hear more about this here in a minute, is they all have to meet federal motor vehicle safety standard requirements for door ejection safety. Essentially meaning if the car rolls over, if there's a crash, those doors have to stay shut so that the driver or the passengers are not ejected from the vehicle. That's the absolute last thing we want. So they have to meet those requirements. So my suggestion is this: if we are talking to a technician, if we are talking to a shop owner, or really even a DIY customer that's coming in and needing the use of a door lock actuator replacement, make sure they understand how important those federal motor vehicle safety standard requirements are, because we definitely don't want those doors opening up in the event of a crash or a rollover. So we have had, though, a lot of evolution in door lock actuators. Now, if we go way, way back, it was simple. It was a door lock, actuator. It was mechanical. Basically, you had a striker on the frame. You shut the door, everything latches. We're all good. Well, that's not the way things are anymore. We now have a series of evolutionary changes to door lock actuators. And again, that covers the trunk, the lift gate, pretty much anything that closes, locks, and unlocks. And so when we look at that evolution, you can see we're only going back to 2005 here, but we could go back much further and even show more evolution. But primarily what you're going to be getting calls on are anything from '05 to current. And you can see there's a lot of differences, right? We've had from '05 to 15 more so separate door lock actuators along with motors and linkages. But they really only responded to things like basic lock and unlock functions of a key fob, and you pretty much found them in most mass market vehicles. Well, if we fast forward a little bit, you see that first image there, that's more of the separate DLA. Well, let's fast forward to integrated DLAs. And this is where we're going to see the adoption of the early E-latch system as well, dealing with things like soft close, anti-pinch, the sensor integration, all those kind of things. And you would find those primarily in luxury brands and then some of the mid-range vehicles. Now, what we mean by mid-range vehicles would be, imagine you're looking at a Ford Focus SE. Well, it probably had a separate DLA and a little bit less functionality. But if you go to the Platinum or the whatever it is, titanium that they call it, you may have had a more advanced door lock actuator. So luxury and mid-range is where we saw a much more adoption on those 2015 to 2020 integrated, those early E-latch systems. Well, when you fast forward to today, you see there we have fully integrated E-latch systems. All of these components are really kind of working together and communicating together so that things like the cinching, the power release, the flush handles, application remote, we all have our phones. If you have any newer vehicle, a lot of times you can just go on your phone now, start the car or unlock the car and lock the cars. There's a lot of functionality within these fully integrated door lock actuators. So again, the evolution has changed, and we want to make sure we're talking to technicians that do proper diagnosis and really, put the effort in to figure out where the real problem is, because you can have a lot of issues with some of the newer systems that are integrated within that body control module you see there at the top right. That body control module has a lot of communication going back and forth between everything behind that door panel and then back to the ECU. So we want to make sure we're talking to a lot of technicians that are doing good diagnostic work and understand that it's not as simple as pulling the door panel off anymore, switching a latch out, or switching a mechanical mechanism. We may have to actually have a scan tool. We may have to have an oscilloscope. We may have to get into some calibrations just to reinstall one of these door lock actuators in these newer vehicles, up to 2025. So they do have some pretty common failure points. Wear and tear for sure. You have to understand when these vehicle manufacturers make these cars OE, they have to try to lessen the cost of every part that they put on the vehicle. So they're going to do that with cheaper components a lot of times, and plastic gears are one of those cheaper components. So wear and tear is very common on door lock actuators, and especially we see this a lot in fleet vehicles. So if you deal with a fleet or a municipality that's, dealing with a bunch of police vehicles, rescue vehicles, fleet trucks, you're going to find a much higher need for door lock actuators with those types of customers. Now, because they are integrated into a lot of modules and communication going on, electrical issues can for sure arise on some of these. Same things as anything else, right? Corrosion, a pinched wire, something like that. And there you see it again, moisture and corrosion. One of the hard parts about all this new technology behind that panel in the door, whether it's the door lock actuator or anything else, they're so sensitive to moisture, and instead of it being that mechanical latch like it used to be, we have more electronics behind the panel. So, it really takes one good rain and all that water gets down there. It's probably going to cause a lot of issues within that door panel. And then, of course, physical damage. Believe it or not, just one hard slam of the door can cause a lot of problems with internal door components. Even the switch on the armrest can get damaged from a good hard slam at this point. So there's a lot of reasons why these will fail. Age, of course, being another one. So this is again where we need good technicians that know how to diagnose. We may not have a problem with a part. We may have a problem with a corroded wire halfway through the system that has nothing to do with the part, and then we end up replacing 2, 3, 4 door lock actuators before someone finally peels back that grommet and starts looking at wiring. So I would say, in my opinion, out of all of these, it's going to be that wear and tear and moisture and corrosion being the most common reason the actual door lock actuator fails. Now, there's a lot of failures that are due to communication issues that have nothing to do with the actual part itself, but it can lead the technician to thinking that the part has failed. So we need, again, technicians that are good with scan tools, good with oscilloscopes, and know how to go through a electrical diagnosis as well. So we talk about opportunity with categories a lot. This is a huge opportunity category. You got to think there's 4 of these on every door. Then you factor in the hood, you factor in maybe there's a lift gate or a trunk latch or something like that. We have upwards of 6 opportunities per car to sell a door lock actuator of some sort. And the reality is a lot of them have common failure points from the OE already, including, you see here, I love this because it says Ford recalls 2.2 million vehicles again due to a faulty door latch. This happens. Now, the reality is some of those vehicles didn't make it to Ford for the recall. We all get those recall notices in all the time about a car, and we don't go do anything about it unless it's a real safety issue. And most people don't even realize this is a safety issue, or they don't read the letter at all. So once that recall phase is out, however many of those 2.2 million vehicles didn't go and get the recall done, those are sales opportunities for us as well. But there's also more TSBs and common issues found with a lot of different door lock actuators and other manufacturers that are going to give us a lot of opportunity when it comes to selling any of the door lock actuators, whether it's at the front, the rear, or all on the side on the doors. So keep that in mind. We do have a lot of opportunity there. And just a couple of quick training tips before I send it over to our product team here. There's a big note to make here. The door latch is separate from the actuator on many vehicles. So we want to, remind them to inspect that door latch as well. The door lock actuator is one piece, but we also have the door latch that's separate. And so we could have the door latch that has failed that might have been part of the reason the door lock actuator failed. And if we just replace that door lock actuator, we may have another failure very soon. So anytime we're replacing the actuator, let's make sure the technician's also looking into the door latch itself. And then also remind the customers to verify the actuator is actually getting power. We're going to talk about this tomorrow on our power hour a little bit more. But the whole point is, again, there's a lot of communication going on. So before we condemn the part in the door, and really, if we have access to where we can do a pinout and actually read the voltage at that part, at the door lock actuator itself, without tearing everything apart, we can verify that the signals coming from both the ECU and the BCM are making it to the door lock actuator. Oftentimes, that is the reason that we have a failure. The part is totally fine, but somewhere along the line between that communication stage, we've lost connectivity. And the most common place for that is when you open the door, up in the front, in the door jamb, we have that wire loom that comes out with a grommet. Repeated times of that thing being pushed together over and over and over again cause a lot of issues with LIN and CAN network communication, and that's going to completely render the door lock actuator useless. Then we go and replace it. Turns out that wasn't the issue. Now we have possibly a return or a labor claim, but we also now have to fix a wiring issue. So again, when I say let's get good technicians to have these conversations with, this is why I talk about it. There's a lot more that goes on with door lock actuators and just the overall function of locking and unlocking the doors in vehicles today that, your general, shade tree mechanic may not be able to figure out. So make sure we're talking to those good technicians, those good shops, and don't forget fleets and municipalities as well. We're going to see a lot of failures in those areas. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Benjamin here on our product team. He's going to go through a lot of the content that's going to make it really easy to not only start conversations, but make sure that you have the right things on the shelf and your customers know that they're there. So Benjamin, show is yours, sir. I'll let you take it.
Thank you, Corey. As previously stated, the DLAs or the door lock actuators handle the locking and the unlocking of the vehicle's doors. We offer a full range of options from integrated to non-integrated designs, all meeting the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards, covering everything from liftgates and tailgates to trunks and hoods. Door lock actuators are an important component of the collision program because they're often located in high collision points. In addition, the trunk and lift gates or actuators are located in the rear of the car or truck and easily damaged in rear-end collisions, while hood latches and actuators are impacted from front-end collisions. To make this easier, we offer direct fit hood latches and actuators featuring a programming-free design for easier installation. Our DLAs are built for performance and reliability. Each unit undergoes rigorous environmental and endurance testing to ensure long-lasting operation. I'd like to take a quick moment just to introduce myself. My name is Ben Zarelli. I'm the product manager for this line. But before this, I was a parts manager at a dealership. For years, I've worked hand in hand with mechanics, and I've been the counter person ordering inventory and dealing with customers directly. And I share this with you to express that I know what it's like being on the other side of that conversation. With that being said, I'd like to start by showing you our top 10 selling DLAs. These 10 DLAs alone have thousands of sales, and I just wanted to stress their importance because, like I said, I've been on the other side where I've had a customer come in and I've lost a sale because I didn't stock a part. So again, I just wanted to stress these because I wanted to ensure that you'll have every opportunity to keep customers satisfied, and these top 10 parts will help do so. As a quick example, if you take a look on the right hand of the chart, you'll see they cover major makes such as Ford, Honda, and Acura, as well as their major models like the Ford's F-Series and Honda's CR-V and Civic. Our precision manufacturing means parts fit right and work right. With decades of research and development behind them, our actuators are engineered to address common OE failure points and provide dependable long-term solutions. These reviews highlight how well our DLAs perform in real-world applications. Customers consistently mention easy installation, solid quality, and dependable operation across different makes and models. Here we compare our DLA coverage to key competitors. BWD leads the category with over 1,100 total parts, far ahead Dorman and Wells. We also offer significantly more liftgate, trunk, and hood actuators. Overall, this positions us with the strongest coverage and the most complete DLA program in the market. As I just stated, we have the most complete DLA in the program in the market, and we plan on continuing to support this statement. Every DLA we offer meets federal motor vehicle safety standards for door ejection safety aligning with OE level expectations. Our catalog now features more than 1,127 SKUs, and we're planning at least 23 more releases in 2026. My job as product manager is to continuously support this line and regularly evaluate carry-up coverage. With extensive research, we regularly add vehicle coverage with existing part numbers to ensure applications aren't missed and sales aren't lost. With a focus on quality over quantity, we are smart about our coverage and consolidation and are able to offer better coverage with less part numbers compared to our competitors. One example of this is part DLA 11532, where by removing the cables and eliminating the unnecessary brackets, this enables us to offer actuator-only solutions, allowing for this actuator to be interchangeable between driver and passenger side. Finally, I would like to just highlight part EVC006. This part demonstrates our ability to bring complete problem-solving kits to the market while also showing that we are committed to developing parts for electric vehicles. Thank you for your time. I'm going to pass it over to marketing now.
Awesome. Yeah, Ben, thank you very much. Great job.
Thank you.
This is a category that represents a lot of opportunities because there are multiple customer outlets that are interested in a category like this that it can be brought to. Starting with any type of fleet or municipality that's in your area, especially if there are taxis. And taxis are a little unique because they tend to wear out the door lock actuators on the rear before the front, which is pretty unique. But we see that here in markets like New York. Of course, general repair facilities, the day in, day out, the bread and butter of our business. Folks, especially in colder climates, bring these to shops because of issues with door lock actuators. And then lastly, collision centers. Not every category that we sell, probably that you sell, is highly applicable to body shops, collision centers, but this one is, especially on the hood side, very, very easily damaged, bent in collisions, and that's another outlet where these can and where these are sold. Just a quick sales tip, a way to not only sell a few more parts, but maybe more importantly, to increase customer satisfaction and significantly reduce the chance of upset customers. And, this is true whether you're working with a shop and they're selling it to one of their repair customers, or if you're on the counter working with a do-it-yourselfer. But if you can imagine, you're at a shop because it's your vehicle, right? So you've gone to the shop and said, okay, well, I need a window lift motor or something. My window's not going up and down. And the shop says, all right, no problem. We're going to go ahead and take your door handle or door panel apart, and we'll diagnose it, and we'll go ahead and put in a new window lift motor. It's a really good idea at that point for the shop, or in your case on the counter, to say to someone, look, while we have the door panel off, have everything apart, we also want to at least inspect, but most likely install a new door lock actuator. It's especially true on higher mileage vehicles, right? But a couple things are true, right? The very same things that have caused the window lift motor to fail can cause the door lock actuator to fail, whether it's moisture, corrosion, some kind of impact, slamming the door too hard, an electrical issue, and just age and miles. So obviously it's a sales opportunity. But here's the real reason we need to do it and have that conversation. So imagine again, you're the customer and you say, no, that's okay. Just go ahead and put the panel back on and be on my way. How do you feel if in 2 months or 3 months the door lock actuator stops working? Right. And it's certainly possible on a higher mileage vehicle, but now you're upset at the shop. Your vehicle was there, they had the door panel off, it worked before, and now it doesn't work now. And now they have to take the panel apart again, right? And that's obviously where you can start to get noise, rattles, vibration from a vehicle. So it's just important to have this conversation on the front end. So if or when the door lock actuator fails, uh, it protects the shop or protects you on the counter a little bit, and just makes a little bit easier, a little bit more customer satisfaction. There's a few different sales support materials that we have around this category. This is this category is really part of our larger collision repair program. So you can learn and read more about this in our collision repair brochure. We also, on our YouTube channel, we have over 500 technical videos. We have make model specific playlists, and we have some instructional videos that show how to diagnose and install door lock actuators. And then, lastly, as just a way to bring this home, we, with BWD have over 15 research and development centers around the world, 21 manufacturing facilities. These parts are performance tested and cycle tested in the lab for long-term performance. Also, when it's appropriate, we especially with more modern ones that really are more electronic than they are, a cable-driven or supported system, fit checked and tested on actual vehicles at our vehicle testing center in Texas to make sure that they correctly integrate with the vehicles onboard electronic systems. And then, we certainly try and support you folks in the field every day with training programs, videos, and marketing support. So yeah, we thank you very much for taking time out of your day and tuning in.
Yeah, and thank you, Aaron, and thank you, Benjamin. Again, I think it's great information. I think it's a great category to go out and promote. I think it just gives us something new to talk about, right? We talk about a lot of the same things a lot, and this is just a new category we really don't have a lot of conversations around. Now we can, and we can just open up a whole new, host of sales opportunities for us all. So thank you all for being here, and yeah, we'll see you next year at some point because I know we're going to have a few more of these coming up in the future. So have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your year, and we'll see you sometime in the very near future. Thanks, everyone.